Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up-and-coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Another new episode, another new greatness that is about to hit your ears. Today, we are preceding an interview with a Lego designer. I teased it way back when. It wasn't even way back when. It was probably about 30 days ago. But the scheduling finally worked out. We were able to get Atticus Tsai-McCarthy on the show. But beforehand, Tom Jurassic and I were able to discuss the T-Rex Breakout set and really kind of go into a little bit of a different detail. And then the next episode, you're going to hear from Atticus Tsai-McCarthy himself and talking about the set in general on that episode and things that they did, things that he sees, from a different perspective versus you and I. I mean, we are amateurs to a certain degree. Some of you that are incredible builders, you are not amateurs. However, it's a whole nother realm when you step in and talk to a Lego designer or you are a Lego designer. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode with Tom and myself. Well, I promised you guys two things. I promised you an interview with a designer who is Atticus Tsai-McCarthy or Tsai-McCarthy, if you actually know his real name, which I thought that was kind of interesting. And I promised you a review of the set of the T-Rex Breakout with Tom Jurassic. And some days, he's Captain Price. And if you stick around at the very end of the outro, you might be able to hear Captain Price on this episode. However, Tom, welcome to the show. It seems like we've done this like 10 times in the last month. It feels like.
This is Bravo 6. Who is Tom? I'm kidding. Yeah, thank you for having me back on to finally talk about the iconic set.
So you're back, and obviously, like I said, it seems like it's been forever. And the T-Rex Breakout set, 76956, the part count on it is 1,212, and the price is $100, 100 euros, or 90 British pounds. Tom, obviously, you and I are both big fans of this set. I know originally when we heard rumblings under the ground, under the, I don't know, wherever I was going with that. You and I were both like, oh my God, we're getting real vehicles here, real explorers. Yeah. So that was a big deal in its own right. So I'm going to let you take this and run with it, and we'll go with it. And however it comes out, but cool. So what were your initial thoughts when you found out this was going to be a thing, and B, once you were able to throw this thing together?
Yeah, so when I found out it was a thing, I was really excited. Obviously, whenever it comes to sort of initial whisperings, you never quite know the format that something's going to take. So I think we knew that it was going to be an 18 plus set, but at that point it was very much up in the air. So I was quite excited to see what they were going to do for it. I kind of wasn't that surprised that there was a Jurassic Park set. I mean, they did it alongside Fallen Kingdom when they released the Control Room set, so it kind of made sense to do it alongside a wave of sets from the latest film. And yeah, I was really excited. When we initially got it revealed, I was really, really happy with how it looked. I was happy with the depiction of the scene. The one thing I wasn't a massive fan of was the brick-built T-Rex, but that's just a personal preference. I've sort of grown to really love the molded dinos from the Dino 2012 line. So I always like when we get new ones of those as opposed to brick-built animals. Although I have to admit, Avatar has really changed my perspective on how good brick-built animals can look in Lego form. And yeah, I was really happy. I did do a bit of a doozy with this set, however, which is I was lucky enough to get a couple of samples off of Lego to review last year when Dominion came out. And because I'm an absolute moron, I didn't ask for this set. And I only realized afterwards, I was like, oh, I could have asked for that set. And I have never felt more guilty in my life.
You poor guy.
Good self-filter, Matt. I'm impressed.
I felt it was kind of English, or should I say very London yardish. So I was yeah. So you talk about the Breakout T-Rex. I actually like what it has to offer for this. I would have been okay with a molded dinosaur without a doubt. Maybe even an upscaled molded T-Rex to go with this, something.
Yeah.
However, this definitely doesn't fit with the Gates as far as size, the T-Rex or anything like that. But for its size, it doesn't look bad. There are definitely some things that I would have done. I should say I would have done differently. I would have liked to see done differently, especially like with the front arms, the front tiny little T-Rex arms, with the ball joint there. It just kind of looks ugly. It's definitely not my favorite part about it.
I think it suffers from what a lot of these kind of Lego builds suffer from, which is just Lego not investing in the color parts. Because, I mean, if that ball joint was in brown and if the piece behind it was in brown, same with the joint on the ankle, then it would probably all merge a little bit more. Yeah. But I do think it's a slight issue you see consistently, where having grey ball joints sticking out on a figure that's a completely different color does kind of detract from it a little bit.
Well, they're a $9 billion profit company, come on, give me. Well, I think the light bluish gray ball joint piece, whatever, I think that is the only color it's in, or maybe darker, but come on, we need. I
am curious as to whether it's a stability thing.
Oh, it could be. I don't know. I don't think it's not exactly like it's transparent or anything like that. So what about the rest of it? You were gaga about the Explorers.
Yeah. So obviously that's my initial thoughts. Do you want me to actually talk through it and break down each separate area now? Let's
go through everything. We got the ugly T-Rex out of the way as you don't like it. Let's go through the rest of the things that are good.
Okay. So we'll go on to the minifigures next, which are Malcolm, Grant, Lex, and Tim. And I think it's really cool that they actually gave us the dirty variants of these figures. Something that I always really liked was how in Lego Jurassic World, the game, you had the traditional versions of the characters and then you had the survivor versions of the characters. And this kind of feels like a really cool nod to that. And I like that they even gave Grant dark tan legs and a hat instead of light tan to reflect the fact that they're damp. I think that's really cool. I have seen some people critique the fact that Lex and Tim, their torsos aren't as detailed and don't feature as many colours as on the original minifigures. And that is true. When you compare them, the mud printing has kind of meant that they're a little less detailed. But it's not awful. So I think they're cool figures, and I like the depiction of the flare that Grant comes with as well. I think that's a really cool detail. And then before we get on to the Explorer, because it is for me the sort of shining light of this set, I think it's worth talking about the rest of the diorama piece itself as well. So obviously this depicts the fence where the T-Rex breaks through after the electricity goes off in the first park. And I think you can tell that the designer, as I'm sure you will have heard in this episode, or if not, you will be about to hear, is clearly a very big fan of Jurassic Park, because there's so much detail packed into this that really helps to immortalize this location on Isla Nublar. I mean, you've got the Lego-fied version of the voltage sign, which is a really, really cool inclusion. But something else they put in here that I don't think you would necessarily see unless you were really a fan is the no photography sign that's present along the perimeter of the fencing as well, which is a really cool little detail that really helps to contextualize this to the location in the film. You also get the lights, which again, very iconic, the buzzer sound that we hear when they power on later in the film. film, a really important part of the visual identity of the Jurassic Park fencing as well. And you also get the Tyrannosaurus Rex enclosure sign, which is something that's really, really cool. I really hope that in the future, if they do more sets that include dinosaurs from the first film, that they actually do this for all of them, because I think that would be a really, really cool addition to see going forwards. And then also on the back, you get the little piece of chain link fencing. It hints at the goat, so you don't get the little cage, you don't get the goat. Presumably it's very much being digested by the T-Rex's stomach acid at this point in time, but you do still get the little chain there that helps to emulate that moment. So I think overall the display base is really, really good. And in addition,
let me interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
Never ever in my wildest dreams that I ever expect on a Lego podcast that I would hear stuff about digestive juices on anything. So
stomach acid, right?
Stomach, yes. But go ahead. Like it popped out of my head. I was like, this is not a medical podcast. This is not.
I'm like, we've set ourselves up with the last one that I really have to show my manic side on each episode now.
Right. All right.
So
yeah.
I was going to say the other thing I really like here is the detail in the actual base of the display itself. So you get the electric track for the Explorer, but you also get a ton of really nice greebling that helps to make the base with all of the mud and the dirt and the rocks feel really, really layered. There's a ton of detail packed in. And what I really like is the fact that it even includes little translucent blue pieces for the actual pools of water that are at the bottom of the base. So it really does help to fully immortalize the fact that this is a really muddy location. It's wet, it's grimy, and I think they just did a really nice job capturing that. So all in all, I think the base is really nice, and then obviously you add that printed tile to it, or the two printed tiles, and it rounds it out very nicely.
Well, and I love the printed tiles. I think that is super important for a diorama scene. I mean, they started kind of with the Star Wars idea. The dioramas, it started with Star Wars and now it's, trickled over here. However, where the T-Rex, the footprints, the puddles of water, I think that was a brilliant idea. As you guys will hear coming up, you'll hear, from Atticus about all this kind of stuff, but the track in the middle of the roadway, all that kind of stuff, you've got the shattered, the cut lines on the back end. I think perfectly done. The lights that are up there to, show. Even
the way the second Explorer submerges as well. It works really well.
Yep. It's not like they built an Explorer and just took off a few pieces. Like it sunk into the mud, just like it did in the film. And it just sells everything. So there's really not much more that I think I could ask for. We'll jump into the other Explorer here in a moment. I know you and I were gaga over the little paddock sign there. The T-Rex, with the camera on there. They couldn't have, that is what you are looking for. When you want detail to the nth degree, that is what we're talking about on all kinds of things. Not just this kind of set this was an 18 plus, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not just this. It's like when we're looking at any Jurassic sets, it's like, I need that on these $30.
I've just realized they missed a really good opportunity because this is an 18 plus set. So you could have had Malcolm with his shirt off.
Oh yeah. Well, he's got his, he's showing a little chest in there, a little chest hair going on. What's that? You want more? Ripping the jacket open. You know what? I would have preferred to see his, bloody stump of a leg that he had going on there,
Yeah, to be fair, that was on the DTC figure.
Yeah, I mean, let's go. Let's get real. So walk me through a little bit of the Explorer here. Or both
so the Explorers are fantastic. I think we'll focus on the one that's fully built. I think it's fair to say that it does feel a little bit flat, but that is partly the design of the vehicle itself as well. And I think it's clear that they really, again, with the Explorer, Atticus has put in as much detail as they can. There's so much detail packed in on the stickers. The graphic design particularly is really, really strong. Interesting note here, it does actually have the Ford logo on the back. And I know that for the past couple of years, there's been issues around licensing the Ford logos. I believe there were some issues when they first went to put the Explorers into Jurassic World Evolution. So it's really cool to see that all of that's been sorted and this can get absolutely everything it needs to be licensed properly. And then the detail inside the Explorer is insane. You've got the CD-ROM screen, you've got the two glasses, you've got the light in the back. But I think the biggest achievement with this Explorer out of everything is the capacity it has, and the fact that the build uses tiles instead of thicker bricks and pieces to actually make it so you can fit 4 minifigures in the Explorer at a vehicle size that isn't particularly exaggerated. It's still in line with a lot of the other sets that have been released and the other vehicles. So I think that's a really, really impressive detail in itself, the fact that it works so well at this scale. You've got all of the sort of logos, the Jurassic Park iconography that you would expect. You have some built-up detail around the front with the fender. You have some detail on the back with the little grates that go over the lights, like on the actual Explorer. And all in all, I think it's just a really, really nice depiction of what is cinema's one of cinema's, at least, very, very iconic vehicles. And it gets me very excited because we've now got one of the 2 Jurassic Park vehicles in our collections. So hopefully we get the other one at some point down the line. And I would love to pair it with a Jeep Wrangler.
That would be incredible. One can only hope. Cross fingers, cross toes, cross arms, cross eyes, whatever. Whatever we can do to get one. I love the vehicle for its entirety. However, there is no way you could have accomplished this vehicle had you not had the Ford logo, which there's something coming. I'm not going to say anymore. I almost stepped over a boundary. There's a reason the Ford logo was anyway, timing. And then the hubcaps for this, had it not had, that printed piece there, it would have never worked. It would have never sold it. I would have never been into it. It's like, you know what? We can't really do this. We're not going to really do this. Had they not done it, it wouldn't have worked. And one of the other things, just on the exterior of this, one of the other things I found really fascinating, and you touched on the light covers, which is a nice grab there. The way that they put the bull bar in the front and how they wrapped it around the side. Yeah. It's something that is not done very often in city vehicles and any other vehicles. They really found a way. And it's one of those things, like when I originally was going through this, I was like, okay, it's not really Speed Champions, but some of the details that were added to this were like, okay, you really went deeper than you really needed to, but I appreciate it.
It's definitely an 18 plus set in that regard, isn't it? It's got that level of detail you expect. And I think one of the nicest things with this is when you compare it with something like Mattel, for example. So Mattel got their first Ford Explorer in 2021. And that is one of the 2 numbered Explorers, and they've not done the second numbered one yet. Whereas with Lego, you can buy 2 of this set and easily swap the stickers. And I think that alone adds so much value to this, because you can get your 2 sets, you can swap your stickers, and you're sorted. You've got both Explorers.
I may or may not have already done that.
So predictable, Matt.
Oh, but I needed both of them. And I've got my extra long track, and it's just my own.
And 2 T-Rexes squaring off in some weird thing that deviates from the film. One of the T-Rexes has done one big pile of on the Ford Explorer. It's just
well, maybe I have a Lost World T-Rex, or something like that. One can only hope.
It'll be like the end of Dominion, where all 3 Rexes are reunited, but they all look the same.
But how cool would it be? So we already have a mud scene here, and the waterfall scene where the T-Rex, on the Lost World. that's a muddy kind of riverbed area. How great would it be to have something similar to that? There's so many things that could happen with just this little brick-built T-Rex, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in general, like these kind of scene sets, they could do so much more with them. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'd love to see the aviary from Jurassic Park 3. Like, can you imagine, like, similar to how they did the Bespin Cloud City set with Luke and Vader, like an elevated walkway with a pteranodon coming out of one end, and like Grant and the Kirbys at the other end would be so cool. And then there's so much stuff in Jurassic World they could do. Like, imagine if they did a diorama of Owen on the motorcycle with the 4 velociraptors. That would be insane.
I may or may not be super excited to have something like that. I may or may not know anything about it. I honestly know nothing about it.
Well, Lego, if you're listening and you would like to use these ideas, I will take a very generous cut of 99.5%.
Finder's fee. No, that would be.
No, you can send me a free set and I'll be happy.
Yeah. We didn't. I don't know if you touched on it. I can't remember. On the inside, the console, I know it was something for the designer. We've got the water cups in there in the console. Tell me more, Tom. Give me more detail about the interior here.
You are now listening to the voice of Richard Kiley. I don't know if that's what you wanted, but that's what I was going with.
I was taking whatever I got.
Yeah, so the interior, like you say, you've got the really nice decal of Isla Nublar, you've got the cups. And I think the thing, again, is that capacity and the fact that they use the tile pieces on the side of the doors. So it gives you enough room to fit 4 figures in it. It's just, it's crazy that there's that level of scale. And then you do also get space in the back of the Explorer for not only the light, but you also get the night vision goggles that Tim uses in this sequence as well. I don't have mine in front of me, but I'm fairly sure there are night vision goggles in there as well. There are. I can see them in this promo pic. And so you get like all of the nice little details you want. The only thing I could have asked for would be like a little Jurassic Park map in the back as well. But literally, apart from that, you have everything that you want inside this thing. And then obviously you've got the glass roof as well, which you can easily remove to get inside. So it really is a like perfect depiction of this vehicle.
It is. And I went, so after I'd built it, you know, I was already, you know, emotional at that time. I was like, it's 1993 again. I'm so happy.
And then you realized, oh no, it's 1993. Tom's not alive. Who am I going to get on the show?
Poor Tom. Just a twinkle in his daddy's eye. However, one of the things that after I had built it, I was like, you know what? I'm glad it is this size as far as length, width. I think anything bigger than this, it would have felt too like something would have been missing. So I think they managed to accomplish that. The interior for the Explorer is perfect. They couldn't have done anything better for, I would say, for what they had to work with. They couldn't have done anything better. If it were an 8-wide vehicle or whatever, that'd have been a little bit different. You got a little bit more space, a little bit more idea what you want to do.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to touch on with the Explorers, the Explorer that is sunken into the ground, the fact that there is no tire on that rim that is facing the concrete wall is incredible. It is so film accurate. The only thing I could have asked for maybe is that piece hanging from the T-Rex's tooth. Something, you know.
Well, get yourself a spare tire piece and cut it, Matt, and you're sorted.
Here's this giant piece of rubber. I need like a piece of like black silk or something to hang down so it actually looks like it's hanging down. But yeah, it just, everything about this set, if you're a collector of Jurassic stuff, not just Lego Jurassic, if you're a Jurassic collector like you are, like so many are, this has to be something that you have to have. I mean, the price point on this was perfect. It could not have been more spot on. And yeah, I mean, I'm in love with it. Jurassic fan. I'm not as deep as you. Like, I'm not looking when you brought up about Grant's pants, about them being wet and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, he's right. Like I'm thinking back through the film. I'm like, okay, rewind. The Triceratops. Oh my God, they were dry khakis. Oh my God, they're not now. So it's that level of detail.
This is why I get the paycheck for this show as well, You know
what? When your contract comes up for renewal, we will look even deeper.
You won't renew.
We won't renew. We're gonna have to look. I don't know. You want open-chested Malcolm? I don't know that we can do that here.
It's Scotland Yard. They've put a clause in that says I can only do one contract.
I mean, Scotland Yard, yes. Scotland Yard.
That's a new company I'm going to start.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've kind of broadly touched on this thing. We've hit details here and there. Is there anything else, Tom, that you kind of, maybe want to hit or, maybe lean on that we already talked about? You're like, you know what? Something just hit my head. We need to hit this.
I think the main thing, and I think this is really important given that people are going to hear this segment with Atticus next, is just thank you to the designers for listening, because I think that people liked the Jurassic Park gate for what it was, but it wasn't quite what they were looking for out of an adult Jurassic set. And I think that's fair to say. I think there is one moment in this film that is so iconic and people want to have the opportunity to build it. So I really appreciate them listening to that, actually realizing it, and not just realizing it, but realizing it really well. It's nice to feel like the feedback that Jurassic fans are giving is listened to and is taken into account with this set.
Yeah, I would agree. I really think that with a lot of things like this, designers and stuff like that are actually, kind of taking in the audience of, who is out there, what is out there, and really kind of trying to hit it hard. Because if you can manage that, you're going to do, it's going to be gangbusters. You're going to sell, not only are you going to sell this thing out to begin with, it's going to be a continuation thing. People are going to come back and, you're going to talk to somebody else. They're going to hear this. And, you know what? I haven't bought that. I really need that. And here's why.
Yeah.
And it's that level of detail and stuff. And whether a designer or somebody like that is a giant fan of a theme or not, let's say you're put on Star Wars projects or whatever, you might not be the biggest Star Wars fan. You kind of get engrossed in it when you're building that kind of stuff. You just kind of focus in, and then you look at the community around and you have people that are like, wait a minute, that is supposed to be 2 centimeters the other direction, or it's off by a millimeter. That's not right. And I don't think people realize that design teams go to that level of depth to put things in like this. Just like you had mentioned about the sunken, the sunken Explorer. It's that level of depth just to suck you that much further into it. So yeah, I agree.
I am going to round this out by hitting you with 3 quick pitches, which are T-Rex in the Waterfall, fantastic adult set. Owen Grady running from the Indominus Rex, smashing through the gates, another fantastic adult set. And the third one I would think of is the Giganotosaurus attacking the overturned Biosyn Gladiator.
Yeah.
That's my pitch. Sign me
solid. Those like your phone's ringing right now. Somebody's like, oh, get Tom. We need the Tom. Anyway, so I would agree. I would love to see those other 3. There's many, many more I would be completely in love with.
I just want a deluxe buildable Eric Kirby. No, wait, not Eric. No. That's the kid. What I want is Paul Kirby. I want Paul Kirby. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. So any final words of wisdom, thoughts, Tom, before we get out of here and they go from here to the designer interview, which will be coming out within a matter of days after?
I have 1 sentence to finish on and 1 sentence alone. Are you ready, Matt?
This is going to wrap it up here.
Bravo 6 going dark.
Yeah, that was it. I'm ending it on that. You think I'm kidding?
Go for it.
I'm done. Well, that is going to wrap up this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this so much. I definitely did. It was one of my, yet again, favorite episodes to do with Tom. Is always a absolute blast. So anyway, the interview with Atticus T-Mac or Atticus Tsai-McCarthy is going to be coming up here in the next couple days, as we had already mentioned. So stand by for that. And something else that is new that is coming your way. So after many, many months, probably about 8-10 months of deliberation, we're going to start doing something different. Something where you guys have an opportunity to gain extra content, video, and a number of other things. We're going to be launching a Patreon. And we're launching a Patreon strictly for the fact that this is going to be extra content. Things like on this episode, there's about 10 minutes of ongoings with Tom Jurassic that you didn't get to hear. The inside things that actually are quite hilarious. Things like that. Things with designers. Things with other things that you don't get the full cut of, because they're not worthy for the show. They're not worthy for special airing of the show. So that is going to be one of the things. We're going to be doing video reviews, quick snippet type things, not super long 10-minute things, a few minutes of anything that is coming out and other things as well. More details will be to follow. We are expecting to launch this sometime in March. If you're curious about it, if you're interested at it, whatever, this is definitely something to keep an eye on. I love every single one of you. This is just extra content. And just like we know with all the subscriber services out there, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube, you're watching stuff, I'm going to support this designer. Anything is appreciated. However, this is not what you think it is. This is simply just a way to give you more content. Things that are behind the scenes, like I said with Tom, things behind the scenes with designers, things that are coming out new that I can give you earlier before anybody else has access, up to 24 hours ahead of time, all of those things. So we will do a final outline ahead of time once we have all the finalizing done with this, but make sure you stay tuned because you will not want to miss out on some of this stuff. So with that said, we're going to wrap up this episode. And as always, I'm your Minifigure host, Matt. Let's build on it.
Captain Price thinks that the T-Rex Breakout is a really bloody awesome set. He likes the fact that there is a little piece of chain link fencing simulating the fact that the T-Rex eats a goat.